Welcome to Burning Bright, a weekly podcast presenting poetry and prose from Passager. This week's show celebrates the publication of Passager's 2020 Poetry Contest issue. The honorable mentions represent 19 states, plus Costa Rica, Ireland, and Qatar. This year's winner is Liz Abrams Morley from Philadelphia. Liz said that for her, this time of COVID and quarantine has been a time of integrating all the pieces that felt separate. She said, "These poems reflect the reclaiming and interweaving, pieces of the past and how they inform the present, not only in personal history but also in our collective history." She said, "I've been thinking a lot about how current events and traumas literally shift the DNA of children who live through those events, and how those shifts impact generations." Here's Liz Abrams Morley's poem on June 6, 1968. My father reminisced about that Tuesday 24 years before, when his buddies disgorged and Normandy's shores bloomed red, like a bucket of poppies, he said, flowering wherever teenage boys bled out, on sand or in water, salt bathing and burning wounds, the way my father taught us to cure blisters and cuts all those summers by the sea. "Just wade," he'd say. "That'll clean it out." I was GI age that night in L.A. Bobby Kay gave the last speech he'd ever give. Some of my generation fighting in remote jungles, wading into leech-infested swamp water, a war so much less clean or cleansing than my father's war. Bobby on the floor of the kitchen, Ambassador Hotel, as June 5th bled into the wee hours of June 6th, 1968. That Thursday he was dead, and for we who were coming of age, watching assassinations pile one on the other, King before RFK, JFK 5 years before, the world itself was writhing, its wounds too jagged to be healed by seawater. Still, I mostly remember now how I sat, June 6, 1968, becoming June 7, then 8, swaddled in white bandages, feet elevated, heat-itching stitches pulling tight sides of a wide surgical slice across me, hip bone to hip bone, my ovary ready to explode and spew poison, having been ripped out just in time. Lost in the clot of much more critical losses, my own small wound bled until it stopped bleeding, my crimson scar, at first so angry, paling to shell pink, and all but forgotten in those tumultuous decades after. Liz Abrams Morley's poem on June 6, 1968, from Passager's 2020 Poetry Contest issue. Liz said, "I was very shaped by world events and the upheavals and questioning of the 1960s in America. I remember being quite young and watching kids my own age in their Sunday school dresses walking peacefully and being met by fire hoses and snarling dogs. I was both enraged and scared by these images. Then we saw photos of the buses that were set on fire, and teens beaten trying to help people vote. I saw how where I lived up north, there was a different kind of racial divide. It was quieter. Now we'd call the kind of assumptions I grew up around as unclaimed white privilege. I was in high school when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and cities all around were burning. And somehow, the rage made sense to me even then." Passager will host a reading Sunday, November 8th at 2 o'clock Eastern Time with Liz Abrams Morley and several other poets published in the 2020 contest issue. To get the details on how to watch it online, go to the Passager website, passagerbooks.com, and click Events at the top of the page. To subscribe or learn more about Passager and its commitment to writers over 50, also go to passagerbooks.com. You can download Burning Bright from Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, and various other podcast apps. For Kendra, Mary, Christine, and the rest of the staff at Passenger, I'm John Shore.